Hey guys, Gqtor here. Today I'm going to be telling you guys 10 tips that you can use for ranked Bedwars to improve your game. Tip number 1. Tip number 1 is knowing where all 4 are. This is pretty self-explanatory. And if you're with experienced players, they'll constantly be asking, where are all 4, where are all 4? Or they'll be looking around, hey, there's one missing. If you see one, for instance, like if there's one at their base, and there's 2 up top, that's 3, but you don't know where the other one is. So worst case scenario, you just have to assume they're trying to skip and go to your base and break your bed immediately. So you go back, maybe look around, see what's going on. Where are they? Are they going to the diamond gen? Are they at mid right now? Are they low bridging? Are they on your way to the bed? You know, stuff like that. If you know where all 4 are, your bed won't be broken when you're not expecting it to be, and you'll have a much higher chance of winning the game overall. Tip number 2, switch off roles. So if you have somebody low rushing, just give other people the opportunity to do it as well. Even if they're not as good players, they might have better success because, I don't know, they might be better at PvP, or sometimes it's just random dumb luck, but sometimes it works really, really well if you can just switch off the roles. Tip number 3, pick a balanced team. The roles of ranked Bedwars are you have a bridger, a second rusher, a third rusher, and a defender. Now, the defender does not defend the entire game. All they do is place a simple butterfly defense and then go up as soon as possible. But the bridger is really, really important, and it's pretty important that you decide to get a bridger or your entire game can be screwed up. You can recover from having a really bad bridge, but it is a lot more difficult if your bridge gets screwed up with like a bunch of blocks and such. So I'll just make a simple little bridge here. Okay, so I made a little simple bridge there, right? And it's pretty easy to get up, right? Pretty simple. You know, if you need to PvP people, it's pretty easy. But then if you have all these blocks on here where, you know, if your bridger falls because you don't have a bridger or something, right? And your bridge is constantly messed up like this, this is going to be really difficult to get up because, you know, you have to, like, parkour around, you have to go around, and it's really easy as somebody who's, like, trying to attack you, so they can basically just go like this and hit you off, and they can make, like, a lot of advantages for themselves. So the moral of this tip is make sure to pick a bridger specifically, and you should probably have at least one really good PvPer on your team, or at least average PvPer, because it's always good to have one person that can carry in a team fight or win those 1v1s, those crucial 1v1s that decide pressure. Just make sure you pick a balanced team. Tip number 4, practice blocking yourself in. So when you're going for a bed, most people will block themselves in, and if you're not like super well familiar with this, I'm gonna get some stuff real quick that I can use to demonstrate. So this is the butterfly defense. You all know it. Okay, so this is the defense you're very familiar with if you're a ranked Bedwars player. This is the classic butterfly defense. Sometimes you'll have wood on top of it or endstone or something, but most of the time it'll just be wool. So practice blocking yourself in, right? So if you go like this, like that, just practice doing that. And I know it seems really simple, but if you can block yourself in really fast, a couple of people that do it really well is Braden is awesome, and Hurton. Those people are super fast at blocking themselves in, and as a result, they're really good at getting beds and you know, breaking beds and stuff like that. Tip number 5: don't be afraid to go for beds. Trust me, there's been many times where my teammates are like, "How did you get that bed?" And it's just because if there's like all 4 of them on bed and you see an opening where you might be able to do it, just go for it. Of course, don't go for it if it's like, you know, if there's like 2 people in the same spot, don't jump there, you know, be reasonable. But if you think you have a chance and, you know, you guys are maintaining okay pressure, it's a good idea to go for it. You know, it can, if you get a bed, it's likely you're going to win the game. You know, most people don't clutch. Most people don't clutch even with like M's being allowed, like after bed break. Most people don't clutch. So if you can get that bed, you'll win the game. So just don't be afraid to gamble and try to get those beds sometimes. It can really work out. Tip number 6, turn particles up. I don't know why, but some people don't play with particles fully on. Like, you should play with particles fully on. The reason for this is seeing invis.
Oh, you dropped, I think.
Yeah. I got one.
Wait. Invis.
Invis.
I hit him.
Oh, you got him.
I hit him off. He's low. He's at 6.
I got him.
Now this season, season 6 is not as important this season because M's are only allowed after bed break, and it's still useful now. But in future seasons with when like M's are allowed before bed break, it's going to be super important to have all your particles turned up. The way you can turn it on is by going to options, video settings, animations, and then going to particles right here. I'm assuming you have Optifine installed, and if you have Optifine installed, this is where it's going to be located. Don't use rainbow footprints. That's bannable, and it's also like just don't use rainbow footprints. Okay, that's not allowed. Don't use rainbow footprints, please. If you don't know what those are, it's just like basically some texture packs like make footprints like invis footprints like rainbow colored so you can see them easier, but they're bannable in most tournaments and probably on Hypixel too. So just don't use those. Tip number 7. Do something before your opponent. Now, that's very vague, but in general, if you low bridge before them, right? Or if you, like you're low bridging before them, or you fireball jump before them, or you get get wood on before your opponent, you're one step ahead of them. Specifically, mainly it's going to be going like low bridging or getting diamonds. Those things can decide the game, especially if you're, especially if like the other team is not very aware of their surroundings. You can get their bed by low rushing pretty easily if they're not aware of their surroundings. And with diamonds, that's super overpowered because if you get sharp before your opponent, you'll probably get pressure, and then you'll have more time to get more diamonds, and you can just get prot 2, prot 3, prot 4. You know, it's super overpowered. Tip number 8. Wood is super good as a third layer of bed defense. Not only that, it's also really good for blocking yourself into beds. So when you're blocking yourself in here, you know, you go like that. And it's super hard for them to get. The only way they can hit you is by breaking this block here, or by going down here and hitting you. Both ways will take a little bit of time, and if they're hitting you from down here, you can easily break the bed and mine it while they're hitting you. So it's super overpowered. However, if you have a wood bed defense on your own bed, your opponents are likely going to have an axe because they're going to be trying to break your bed, which is wood. So I would suggest using endstone instead to block yourself in, because then why would they have a pickaxe if they're just trying to break wood with an axe? So even if you have a wood defense, you can still go with wood because it does take a while to mine if they have a wooden axe. But if they have an iron axe, they'll be able to save the bed. Just keep that in mind. Tip number 9. Practice sumo on Hypixel and MMC. It's pretty important to practice sumo because you can practice knockback manipulation. Manipulating your knockback to take less knockback and make others take more knockback is really important in ranked Bedwars. Just so that way you don't get hit off and you can win more fights. In general, just practicing sumo will help you in other game modes other than ranked Bedwars, but it will help in ranked Bedwars a lot. Tip number 10. When outnumbered, fight on a one wide or maximum 2 wide bridge. So if you're taking a 2v1, right, and you're gonna fight on here, it's gonna be a lot harder to win that 2v1 because you have to make your knockback go a lot less. But if let's say they're here and here, let's say they're on the skinny bridge, right? And the skinny bridge is only 1 block wide. You can just go like this, right? And you can just hit 2 of them off, and they'll kill you probably, but you'll get 2 of them. So when their teammates come up, like let's say if you're taking a 1v2. Then that means 3 of your teammates are probably behind you in most cases. And if you kill 2 of them, then that means that the other team has only 2 players coming behind. So your teammates will have a 3v2, which can help with pressure a lot. So just in general, setting yourself up in good situations is just as important as being actually skilled at the game. So that was 10 ranked Bedwars tips. Hopefully you guys learned something from this. I know this would have been really useful for me to hear back when I joined ranked Bedwars a while ago. Anyway, so I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye.